Uh, Good evening, friends. This is C. Nitin Pathak, past president of Visakha Chapter Ahmedabad. We are regularly organizing seminar, and today's topic is one of the most important topic of the day because India is signing in a big way, huge way, and startup is the only way where you can grow. I give an example of China, where in China they have developed an AI company, many AI companies, and they have become top icon of the world. हमारी जो उनकी जो टॉप लिस्टेड कंपनी है जो खाली एआई का बिजनेस करती है चाइना में, these are startup and they're on top of the world. And today we have C. Abhishek Jain. He has also, let me introduce in a brief about him. He has come with the IPO, which is successful. He is a blockchain and technology champion, and he is going to talk today on the startup. And I tell you, if anybody wants to grow in this world, only way he can grow is to have sharpen his tools, sharpen one's tools. Only way to sharpen the tools is to take a lectures at some way, publish an article, and go to a seminar, take a seminar. So today we are going to talk on startup. And I, as a Visakha chapter Ahmedabad past president, would invite anyone who wants to join CISA, CISM, not Visakha related course, but other than Visakha related course. We would give them a material, we would guide them how to study, how to come up in this life. Okay. With this brief introduction of Visakha as well as Abhishek, I hand over the mic to Abhishek and I ask him to introduce few words about you and then take on the forum to a different level. Abhishek, floor is yours now.
Thank you, Nitin sir. It has been a great journey till now, and Nitin sir, you have been part of that journey from the day one, I guess.
Yeah.
Because my first lecture on technology was organized by you way back in 2017, and that is where I actually developed an crux to actually take lectures, publish articles on technology, because majorly chartered accountants are not that much inclined towards reading about technology or inclined towards knowing what technologies are changing the business dynamics and so on. But after doing some 8-10 seminars in 2017 itself, I realized that now the chartered accountants are more and more inclined towards knowing the technologies sorry and adding what knowledge they have on technology and implementation of those technologies. So this is the brief idea how the technology things happen to me, and now I have done more than 200 plus seminars on various topics, including GST, income tax, then information technology, securities, startups, as well as blockchain and AI. Blockchain and AI has been my forte over the last 3 years. I have been doing work on it. I have been training people on this. So that is what I have been doing in last 5 years as a chartered accountant. I am practicing since 2013. So we'll start today's topic, opportunities for chartered accountants in startup. So first, we need to understand what are the startups, how startups work, and what are the major areas where we chartered accountants fit in as a startup founder or as a startup employee or as a consultant to the startup, or in any case investor as an investor in the startup. So startups are a booming. There is no second thought on whether startups must be done or not, or entrepreneurship journey should be started or not. So if you see in the last year itself, it has been a year where India got maximum unicorns. India got 39 unicorns in last year itself. So that before that it was 44 unicorns, and now it is more than 78 unicorns. So you can see there is a huge jump from 2020 to 2021 and 2021 to now 2022. Already in 2022 we have 3 unicorns now with us. So unicorns are those companies who are valued at more than $1 billion valuation. So these companies are huge. They are the investments, the valuations which they get are huge, and so problems which they are solving may not be that huge, but the solution caters many people. The solution is profitable, so people are inclined towards going into the startups. Now, what is the startup journey, why it should be started, we will discuss that. So so as a chartered accountant, क्या है हमारे लिए, what we can do, what a chartered accountant will help in a startup. So if we see, we have been there we have been there in each and every startup, be it is a success, be it a failure, be it a medium scale company, be it is a larger startup group. We may be as a consultant, we may be there as an employee, we may be there as an investor, we may be there as an entrepreneur itself. So if you see all these $1 billion babies, the unicorns, you will find an chartered accountant involved in the core team itself. So they don't generally, chartered accountants क्या करते हैं, back end से पूरा support करते हैं, they don't come in the front faces. So that way chartered accountants are involved as an entrepreneur in many startups. I myself, I am involved as a consultant, as an entrepreneur in many startups. One of my startup now have been listed now. It's the first startup to be listed on BSC from Ahmedabad and Gujarat. So the journey of an chartered accountant from traditional practice to consulting a startup is a different way together. So if we see, I will just start with a quote by Jeff Bezos. I know that if I failed, I wouldn't regret that, but I knew one thing, I might regret not trying. So he says, yeah, I will get failed. That is not an important thing for me. If I get failed, at least I have tried. If I have not tried, I will think regret. Oh shit, I should have done that. I have not done that. So that should not be a criteria for a startup founder. He should always think, he should always try to do things which he wants to do, which they are going to get big businesses out of it. So you should try at least. So now I will come as a consultant, what we do. So I will start with the traditional approach, what a traditional consultant does for a startup. And I would say there are 45,000 startups, registered startups in India, and all of them use chartered accountants as a consultant. So if you say all of them are using chartered accountants as their consultant, are there, and there are only 1,50,000 chartered accountants who are practicing. So तीन chartered accountant के ऊपर एक startup तो आता ही है. So now I will just go how as a compliance partner we chartered accountants can help them. The statutory compliances which are to be done for a startup, be it MCA, be it GST registrations, be it some other statutory compliances which are required for that particular industry. So that is done by the chartered accountants that you can always do. Then there is startup registration process. The startup registration process is done on the Startup India website. You can register the startup. You can not just register the startup there itself. You can use your analytical abilities to help the startup to come up with their pitch deck, to help the startup to register on various events and domains where they need to register to showcase what they are doing and to get few funds or something. So that is important. Startup registrations is very important. How and when you can do the startup registration, you can start it with the DIPP registration. Then there is an income tax exemption limit. You can try your hands on that, but it is a real tough task to get a income tax exemption of 3 years out of the 10 years. That is the criteria. So that you can do. You can do GST registration, filings, because the startup guys are generally technocrats. They don't understand this whole thing. How GST filings will be done, how they will cater those things. Though now many startups are been backed by chartered accountants, but many of them are not. So for them, whole compliance part is nothing but a burden, and they don't understand any sort of thing in the compliance part. So for them, you may be a partner for compliance. You may be charging some fees, or you may be taking some stake, or you may be just being a guiding force to them while doing all the procedural work. So that always helps. Then taxation and accountancy is one of the biggest field. Startups who have been founded by these young people always want to have this accounting and taxation at the last task for their startup journey. So to understand that startup accounting is important, taxation, how to deal with taxation people is important. You can be a guiding force to the startup owner. How taxation works, how accountancy works. You can be an accountant for them. You can place someone to do accounting for them. That is very important for them, because each and every grant a startup gets, each and every smallest of investment startups get, they need to have the proper accounting of all those documents. They need to submit those documents while the investors or the grant, the people who have given the grant, be it government, be it a third party grant or a CI, sorry, or a CSR funding. So they need to give the bills, they need to give the actual expenditure details. So their accounting is very important. You need to understand. Then comes auditing, which we have been doing since long. Here in auditing, we can also try some internal control systems for the auditee, as well as we can help them in getting smaller things audited, like their futuristic predictions, to actually develop a core finance team, startup needs to get things done, as well as their future projections is what only thing available with them for showing to the investors when they are young. So for that, auditing of those things can be a remunerative work for chartered accountant, as well as preparation of those things. Then there is payroll management. Every startup has certain benefits. A DIPP registered startup, they can do all the payroll things. The payroll law says that they can do self certification of things, and the officer, PF or ESIC or any other labor matters cannot directly come to their offices. It is that I give a self-certified thing. I am compliant with the PF provisions, and it can be done. But again, when we are saying about payroll, we need to be very clear that once the number of people are more than what is prescribed, you should start the payroll activity, because this all startups don't understand this at the start. But once they start growing up a little bit, this penalties, this roadblocks comes in, and that can actually hamper their growth. So payroll management is another thing. Now I will come to a newer area of practice, which is as a business consultant, how we can help the startups. So first thing, startups are done by majorly young people. So when the startups are done by young people, they are this is one of their first initiative towards entrepreneurship, or this is the first time a student is doing something, and this is the first time he's doing something. So again, when he's this is the first time a person is doing something, they doesn't understand the market dynamics, they don't understand how the things can be done practically. So this is the core area where chartered accountants are knowing everything. They are very much clear about how the businesses are run and how the operational things are done in a business, so that everything stays normal for the business and it can be sustainable. So one thing is that you can help them with the how the market are working. You can do some market and gap analysis, you can do some strategic tie-ups for them, and so on. Then viability test is one thing which a startup doesn't do. Startups never ever do some this kind of viability test, because they think that the product which they are making is best superlative, nothing can match that. But again, when we say nothing can match that, or the product is superlative, is there a proper market available? Is there the competition already in that space? If there is competition already in that space, how our product is different, how we can market the product. The major thing is marketing the product and usability of the product. If the product is marketed but it is not usable, then it is of no use. So you need to understand that, okay, as a chartered accountant, I know these are the things which are happening. I can go across and have some research over it and check how the market acceptability of your particular product can be done. You can use your network. You can collaborate the startup with the bigger companies in their domain, so that they are into the right hands. So this is another thing. Then you can provide insights into the practices, strategy making, and tactics used by the bigger companies in their own domain. So that helps the startup to build their own process and understand what are the market leaders doing. Then you can, as a business consultant, you can source and get resources for startup as well as business. So we have a very good network of chartered accountants. We always have this liberty to go and ask the chartered accountant that, okay, you can do this for me. Yes, he says, yes, I can do this for you. And there is a very healthy relationship between the chartered accountancy community. And because as a chartered accountant, you might be knowing more than 100, 200 clients in area domain. You have a very solid network at the client side also. They respect you for the things you are doing. So you can always help these startups connect with those clients and do businesses and to get resource. So this is how we can be very much helpful to this kind of startup companies who are majorly of a very young generation and with very much smaller size of network available to them. So now, as a funding agent or as a guy who can get funding for you, that is one of the key area to procure finance to get funding for a startup, because all the startups will fall. The only reason behind their falling majorly tends to be the lack of funding or the non-funding, or even sometimes lack of excess funding. So this is the core area. So because while doing funding, you need to just answer 4 questions. Why I need fund? Why the funds are required? What will be the use of the fund? And why we are actually taking funding? Why we are not doing with bootstrap way? So why is the first question. How much, कितना चाहिए भैया, क्या कितना चाहिए, क्या आपको 1 करोड़ में हो जाएगा, 5 करोड़ में हो जाएगा, 7 करोड़ में हो जाएगा, और if you need a 10 million funding, 10 million funding startup as a startup to develop the product itself, so how the market viability will stay and so on. How much is important? Do you require $10 million at the given stage A only, or it can be staggered into A, B, C, D, E, F? So that these are the few questions which you need to ask the promoters. If you are the you yourself are part of the co-founding team, then you should ask yourself कि हमको क्यों चाहिए पैसा. Then for what? भाई हम करेंगे क्या, पैसा तो आ गया. I have got 10 million funding. Now what should I do for 10 million? Shall I burn it away without getting business? So hello. So for what we need to do, need to get the funding. क्या करना चाहिए, क्या नहीं करना चाहिए उस पैसे का. If I got 10 crores in my account and I don't know how to utilize it, then the interest cost as well as everything is wasted. So that is important. And the fourth thing which is important, ये आपको हर एक चीज में आएगा, how you will give a exit. For banker, it is how you will repay. For investor, how you will give an exit to me. So if I am joining hands with a company now, so how you can give me an exit in a year or two? So that is important. So this is how the things you should be very careful while doing the funding thing. Making a business plan is a must for all the startups. As a chartered accountant, you are 95%, I would say, the correct person to go to for making a plan. You will be doing the financial projections, you will be analyzing the funding request, you will be taking the whole registration part of the thing. You can always draft this executive summaries. So for drafting these plans, you need to be very careful. You need to be focused on what the startup is doing, how the startup is doing, and where where is the key value proposition of the startup, and you can showcase that plan to anyone. The plan must be made very clear. It should not. It is not compulsory to have a, fancy plan, but the plan should be realistic. It should be for a medium. The plan should be uh, dropped into three parts. First will be the short-term plan. Second will be the medium-term plan, and third will be the long-term plan or a vision statement. So vision statements are generally taken from the owners, how they want to, what is the vision of their thing, what things they want to achieve, and what will be the end goal of the organization. So that is important. uh, then you have the medium term plan. Medium term plan is a plan which is actually defining what you will be doing in next 4 5 years, and while doing things in next 4 5 years, what will be your strategy and how you will be helping the whole company to grow around that. So that needs to be very clear. Your value proposition comes in, your long term targets come in, your forecasting comes in, your 2 4 5 rounds of funding requests come in. So these are the whole things which come up. So that is the part of the thing. The short-term plan is a very simple plan. It is a more or less an executive summary of what you will be doing in the mid-term plan, but with a clear objective that this 6 months we need this, and while getting this, if I get this thing, we can make this prototype or make this product. So this is very clear on that part. Now there are many funding options. So we as a NAPBooks Limited, we started with bootstrapping. We took a debt funding from Yes Bank, that to a CGTMSC scheme. Then we had our friends and family to invest in us before the IPO, and then we come up with a startup IPO and having more than 200 investors now. So you need to understand what kind of product you are in, what kind of service you are in, and where it fits as a funding opportunity. It a B2B product, it is or it is a B2C product, or it is a C2C product, or it is a B2B2C product. You have to understand it. Only then you can go or decide whether what kind of funding options you want to take. And the best funding option is to be bootstrapped. You take your own fund, get it involved in the company, grow it, then again invest that fund into the company, and so on for at least 2 3 years, so that the product is stabilized. There is a strong market, which a small size of market, sample market, but which has a strong inclination towards your product. So that is important. So again, there are private equity players, there are angel funds, there are venture funds, there are main board IPOs you can look for as a funding option for your client. Sorry. So as an employee, what you can do? As an employee, you can be a CFO of a company. CFO not just plays a crucial role; he plays a very defining role. CFO as a CFO of a startup is much bigger task than as a CFO of a multinational company, because a CFO of a startup all will always be doing everything. He might be having one or two people maximum, that is maximum in his team, because they are not doing they are least concerned about this function. So as a CFO, you need to do the whole bookkeeping, score. You are the scorekeeper of the company. You should know what the technically what things are going on, how to account for them, how to actually convince the investor about the financial numbers, as well as uh, the business flow, supporting the business with the due diligence, because as a startup you get to face many due diligence activities. Every investor who comes in, whether they are investing in you or not, they will always do this diligence activity, and there will be huge paperwork for the CFO to be made. Then the CFOs has also to be, once the startup is in the mid-size segment, the CFOs need to do business reportings to the promoters, who actually wants to now know what they are earning and what are the leakages, bottlenecks of the company. Sorry. While finance is a non-core function, as I said before, but it becomes a very significant function once the startup turns into a mid-size business entity. So again, being CFO of a startup is a very challenging task. Then in the newer world, they are not limiting. Sorry, they are not limiting you as a CFO only. They make you COO. They make you see. Even you can be an HR officer of that company. You can be a compliance officer. You can be CEO of that company. You can be a business officer of that company. As a chartered accountant, there are huge scope. Gone are days when we were only concerned about accounts and finance division. That's it. The whole days are gone. Now a chartered accountant is found as a HR officer, as a compliance officer, as a CEO of the company, running the whole business team of the company. So now chartered accountants are doing many things. Again, once a startup is into a mid segment, and they will have business analysts, they will have financial analysts, they will have process analysts, product analysts, business forecasters for their team. So these all functions are of lesser importance, but when the so basically product analyst helps the company to analyze what the product should do with the comparison to what the competitors are products are doing, or what are the key requirements which are put in by the users. So these are the whole thing. Process analyst helps in the process finalization thing. Financial analyst, again, what we do from the day one to do the analysis on what change in the cash flows, how our BP changed, how what is the new set of ratios through which the business can grow, and so on. So accounts and finance management, I'm saying it because this is a general thing which every CN knows how to do this. The first job of a chartered accountant in a corporate majorly turns up like this only. You are handed with the accounting and bookkeeping activity. You do the bank correspondence. You do the payroll. You do the GST tax compliances. You communicate with the auditors, report to the management, and so on. As an investor, this is a new journey for us. Uh, we have not been an investor as a long-term investor. We have not been there. There are be many people. You will be investing in stocks, or you will be investing in real estate. But startups is a area where we generally don't invest. Startups is an area where generally this all philanthropists or this big corporate business owners will go and invest. But as a chartered accountant, we are very scared of investing. We are scared of losing the money. But as an investor, there is huge opportunity. I will give you an idea of how the investments can be done. So there are many stages of a startup funding. But for a chartered accountant, if you say, we can have seed stage funding, we can have we can be the part of the seed stage, we can be part of the early stage, as well as in the first stage of expansion. Uh, After that, it is the area where we are not specializing in. So second stage, third stage, fourth stage, or bigger financing, because we are looking at the startup. We know the startup from the initial days. We can understand what their products is as a consultant, and then we can always have our own group of people who can invest small amount of money in that startup, from seed stage to basic growth stage, and then till the first stage of their seed A round or seed B round. After that, as a individual or as a HNI group, it's difficult to invest in a startup. That is the time where you generally take out your money, take exits from the startup. So this is the whole stages of how you can be part of the startup investment stages. Now, as an investor, you can be an HNI or a UHNI. So ultra HNIs or HNIs generally invest in very early stage startups, where they can invest from 10 lakhs to 10 crore rupees, and they can get a good return or a good product within few years. Then comes angel funds. Angel funds are generally group of HNIs or ultra HNIs, which are generally having a structured approach. So HNI or UHNI groups may be done. So there may be two structured and unstructured groups. So unstructured groups are HNIs and UHNIs. So they may be doing based upon majorly what they think, or one of the HNI things in that group. Angel funds generally do things through a process. They have a certain process ready with them. Generally, they come at the prototype stage. They generally don't invest till the prototyping is done. Then comes venture funds and private equity players. These are those players who generally want to invest in a startup which have already started some revenue. So without making revenue, a startup should not be going to a VC or private equity player, because they are not least interested in funding a startup which is not started revenue. So now I will discuss as an entrepreneur what you can do, and I will trust me. This is one of the best thing to do as an entrepreneur. What you can achieve as an entrepreneur, it is a great success stories which you can write. So, what is a startup? So, there are many definitions of startups available across the globe. But actually, startup क्या है? How the startups work? So startup is, in a plain vanilla language, सर्चिंग. आप बहुत सारा ढूंढते हो कि क्या प्रॉब्लम है, लोगों को क्या प्रॉब्लम है, आपको 10-15 प्रॉब्लम मिलती है, आप उसमें से फाइनलाइज करते हो, ओके दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम विच मेजरली 70% of the population is facing. And then you finalize, okay, these are the 5 problems which 70% of the population is facing. Now finalize, okay, ये 5 प्रॉब्लम में से अपने किस प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व कर सकते हैं वो देखते हैं, and then we start creating solutions. So we never create a single solution for a problem. We create solutions because we need options to explore. It is not that one solution will be permanent for all those problems. So we need to understand what are the problems, what how what is the focus area for us, what is the problem selected by us. Then we need to create many solutions. Now once we have created many solutions, we do some viability tests and all, and finalize one solution. Okay, this will be the solution. We have done all the research behind it, and this is the solution. Once the solution is finalized, we start making the solution. And once the solution is made, when the solution is ready, product is ready, we start implementing it. Once we start implementing it, we start doing meeting people, and this is the stage you should start getting funds. It is not that you start getting funds at the idea level itself. You should always take funds somewhere around this. Once you have the prototype ready with you, then the bigger important case is marketing the solution. You have made the solution, you think it is the best solution. Many of the people are thinking that this is the best solution, but how to market it to the masses, that is important. So once you want to market it to the masses, that is the area which is majorly the startups fail. And that is why I have kept that in the startup definition. So for me, the startup definition is very clear. You need to search a problem, you need to fix a problem, you need to make an innovative solution, finalize the solution, implement it, and market it. That's it. Once that is done, you are in good hands. You can easily rise to many things, and you can always be very much into the startup, and you can earn like crores and crores of rupees out of your startup. So this is a basic journey how you start. There is a problem which you have finalized, you think you that triggers the whole journey. Then you test an idea, you pick some customers to use that product. Then you ask people what should be the solution. Then you try to replicate that. Okay, now I have the solution, I have the few customers who are very happy with me. Now how to 10x, 20x, 30x sales, and then building the corporation. So here building the company is building a corporation rather than registering a company. And then once everything is going good, making it a huge success. So startup, as a startup owner, what do you feel? What are the things you need to do? There are many things you need to focus on. It is not that you can just focus on one domain and everything will be taken care of. No, you need to think on many things. And even if you have few founders, okay, you have 4 founders with you, but if you don't think, you think, okay, I will only think focus on getting partnerships and ideation. Rest of all will be done by the co-founder. It is not always correct. You need to be very careful that you are 3 4 people. You should debate on each and every aspect of the thing. To make a good product, you need to have many minds behind it. Not a single mind will help it out. Okay, once you are doing good, your product is established, then you can always have roles in the organization and take up that role as a individual promoter. But before, once you are in the ideation stage, you need to think everything. You should be on the ideation, how the idea is to be developed, how idea should be matured, how idea should be treated. You should be in the core product development team. It's not compulsory that you are developing that product, you are doing all the software coding or some implementation or hardware implementation, but you should be the part of that team. You should be the key person. So they are the four founders. You should be having a 25% authenticity on that product development team. So that is the thing. How to get the fruits out of what you have sown. That is what already important. What are the key to success? Partnerships which you have made. So once you do a good product, you need to do partnerships, many partnerships. Then you should be focused towards generating X to X revenues for your startup, and researching everything. So as a startup founder, you are not just doing uh, accounting or bookkeeping or compliances, but as a startup founder, you are in an entrepreneurship journey where you are involved in each and every activity of the company. So that is important. It is a very tough task, and it takes a huge toll on your life. So before starting any entrepreneurship journey, we need to think 10 times before jumping into any startup. So that is a word of advice from my side. So struggles, you will have many struggles. You will have some server attacks or information technology problems with you. You will have some legal challenges. Fund crisis is the biggest problem any and every startups have. Even all the businesses have this fund crisis problem, and in the initial 5 years, सबको पैसा चाहिए, सबके लिए तकलीफ है. Even for the people who are in the business for 5 years, but they need funds to do new businesses and so on. Again, then employee attrition is one of the huge issues which is been faced by all the corporates as well as startups in today's journey, because today employees don't want to be very much involved in a single company for a long period of time. They want to explore more, they want to earn more, they want to live lives which they can actually cherish. So gone are the days when you have an employee that will stay with you for years and years. It may be possible, some of the employees may, but not all. Gone are days when people wanted job to live. Now people don't want to have a job for living. They can live. They have many things. They can live easily. But now it is a work culture and job satisfaction which they need. For that only they are now doing jobs. So employee attrition is one of the key areas. Even if you are in any of a service industry or in some kind of product which is directly related to the technology, then the employee attrition actually is a key struggle for all the journeys. Then expansion. Expansion is the biggest struggle all the companies and startups face. So you need to be very careful while expanding. Expansions are good, but expanding at a rate which is more than what you should be doing is a great loss to you. It is like a slow poison where you are not poisoned at the same time, but over the next 2-3 years you start feeling it. So as I said, reinvest your money in the company. You should not be shifting focuses on many things while your focus should be simply on one thing which you have been doing. You should do some ESOPs to retain the talent, and you should have a target market. And fundraising and branding is a lifetime exercise for all the startups as well as all the companies. Fundraising never ends, branding never ends. These are the two areas you should be focused for all your lifetime. So this is about us. We are a CMA level 3 company, ISO 9001. Now we have already got 27001. We have a startup registration with us. Now we are listed company. You can go and check all the details, what we are doing online. Everything is available in the public domain. So this is how we started. 2015, we got an idea to make an accounting software. It took us 2.5, 3 years to make a accounting software, and it is still now we are regularly updating that application to be a top-notch application in accounting. So it took, if you see, it took 7 years in the development phase itself. So this is what we have done till now. We have a more than 50 people team now. Way forward, startup journeys never end. We came up with the IPO. Our startup journey, everyone said it's now ended. The journey is started, not ended. It's trying to show the culture and ethics, increase business, communicate with investors, get new investors, and migrate to main board. So thanks for hearing me out, and I'm really sorry. It would have been a great affair if it was possible physically for me. But at the last moment, I got a news that some of the persons in my office got COVID, and I had some cold and cough from the morning. So I decided that I will take it from my home itself. And once the things are normal, once my reports are negative, I can be physically doing things. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity and hearing me out. And I'm really sorry for not being physically available. So thank you.
Abhishek, it was a it's more voice, but Abhishek, it was a wonderful talk. We enjoyed a lot. It was a very informative one. And in spite of having cold, cough, you decided to go ahead with that. In the afternoon around 4 o'clock, he said that he will not be able to take it because he was not able to even talk also. In spite of that, at the last moment, he found good and he started working on it. So thank you very much, Abhishek. It was a very elaborate talk I'd ever heard on the subject of startup. It was a practical exposure which you have it was heard in the talk. Any participant can unmute themselves and raise a query if any question you want to ask. Anyone want to ask a question, or you can, this presentation I would upload in the YouTube. Abhishek, once again, thank you very much for being a part of this group. And we are always ready to support you in full. Our next talk on next Saturday would be on cybersecurity, a myth. Every week we have a seminar. Just visit our blog. With this, we conclude here. Abhishek, once again, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and see you all away from Naresh Shakaria. Say thank you. Thanks all. With this, we conclude this session. Thanks once again, and we would upload this talk later on. Thanks, Abhishek. See you once more.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.